and welcome to the NXT review. I'm Michael Hamflett from What Culture. I'm joined by Michael Sidgwick from What Culture to discuss everything that happened on last night's NXT, which is why you're not getting Wilborn's long intro, because normally I read it when we do the audio.
Yeah.
But it's okay, because there was a cold open, Sidge, to last night's NXT, or should I say goddamn boiling hot.
Hey, Dijak, take those stupid sunglasses off. We're inside.
Wagner Watch.
Come Tuesday.
Kicks us off, right, before anything has happened.
This is goated, by the way.
And we come in to find, in the locker room, Noam Dar and Ora Mensah. Ora Mensah's getting his pump on. Noam Dar's got cucumbers over his eyes. They kind of aren't taking Von Wagner and his manager, I forget his name.
It's Robert Stone.
Seriously enough.
You could say that, but deep meditative state of mind can lock you in, so that's a serious preparation.
And maybe they've done their homework and there's loads of objective evidence that Wagner and his manager,
Robert Stone,
objectively suck, so maybe this is all the prep that is needed.
Yeah, they do. Great performers.
Well,
don't want to get that confused.
Straight away before we even hit the ring, there's law. There's LTST, because they're just mocking them, and then the door creaks open, and what do you hear? Sneak attack! They've learned from the Bash Brothers. It's Von Wagner, it's
Robert Stone.
And they jump them, they batter them all over the locker room, they kick them out into the corridor. Suddenly we see Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson run through another door. They're trying to chase the action. They're trying to keep up.
They are.
Right? And but by the time they get to the point of the corridor, they could go right, they could go right, they could go left. But who's there? The Bash Brothers. And what do the Bash Brothers do? That way. They don't know which way.
We're going to do it together.
Okay, we're the Bash Brothers today.
We're the Bash Brothers. That way.
That way. So which way are they going to go? They both go both ways, and they say, Operation Sneak Attack. Come on, a bit more creative with the name, I suppose. Yeah. But anyway, that gives us a cold open. It's yet another NXT match that starts in the aisle. Vic Joseph continues to be shocked that this keeps happening, but he's like, well, there's a referee there, and I guess we're underway. The referee sort of runs alongside him to get going. It's extremely basic. It won't be a shock to hear that. Von Wagner has got the advantage first. Robert Stone is tagged in. He knocks Ora Mensah down. But then he gets distracted going after Noam Dar. Jaw jacking on the apron, and that leads the heels to take over. Robert Stone's obviously in a lot of trouble for a bit. It's all quite drab, truthfully, until Von Wagner gets the hot tag.
And then it kicks.
Hot as bang. There's a Von chat as he does the most basic of offense, but the fans love it anyway.
That's good.
He hits both of them with a double choke slam. He tags back in Robert Stone, who gets on Von's shoulders to do a big splash right off the top.
Have you missed the worst move of all time?
Please remind myself and the viewers and listeners.
Unless it happens later in the match. But Robert Stone jumps to the top.
Yes, please recap.
Robert Stone jumps onto the top turnbuckle. Motions to do, obviously, an aerial attack of some kind. It's not a frog splash.
No.
It's not an elbow drop. It's not a shooting star press. He jumps off the top turnbuckle away from his target and just kind of gets the underside of his forearm.
It's not quite a chop, is it?
And he just goes like that. It looks awful.
It's kind of great, wasn't it?
But it's one of those where it's like, hand of the author and all the rest of it. He's not meant to be a really skilled pro wrestler.
True.
Character.
Which is maybe, so the splash off Von's shoulders is a little bit more impressive.
I just enjoy them just being connected.
Yeah, he's massive. He's taller than the top rope, so
yes.
It's logical as well. And it looks like the babyfaces are going to get the win, but Ora Mensah breaks it up. Von Wagner's back in. Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson get on the apron to distract the referee. While the referee's dealing with them, Wagner's got Noam Dar for a powerbomb, but Ora Mensah slides in, gives him a cheap shot. Noam Dar falls on top. They get the win. It's part banana skin, part Von and Robert Stone always lose.
They always lose.
Always lose.
And if you understand that it's NXT, so you have to do like skits and gimmicks on top of gimmicks and backstage segments, and I love it for that, in a way. What? If you're going to do Operation Sneak Attack and do the baby faces and then you don't win, it's a good job people earnestly like Von Wagner and Robert Stone, because oh my God, they're rubbish baby faces.
Kind of. But they're...
I love them so much. And I got actual joy. Like, I'm having feelings again, bro. Like I'm some 14-year-old kid or something. Actual joy watching them double team.
Yeah.
I just want Von to make connections.
And they might be positioned with just the perfect heel for their act, but more on that a little bit later on in the show. Ridge Holland's out next for his match with Gallus, but before we get to that...
Matches, excuse
me.
Imagine that on one show, matches with Gallus.
Where are my manners? But while
Where are Sean's?
While he's entering...
For doing this to me.
We get an ad break, which I think it's worth pointing out to our like non-English/European listeners, because I think it's here where we've got it. NXT is on the network the next day now. It's the best the network has ever functioned in terms of original run content. But you pointed something out as we were going through this in the office. It is quite something when you see, and for it, no, I'm not like digging out Ridge Holland specifically, but if let's say, for example, Ridge Holland in action up next, and it's NXT, and it's all quite small and a bit weird, and then the ad breaks, because we don't have actual adverts, are just adverts for stuff on the network that's good. So it's like, here's The Rock, here's Steve Austin, here's the biggest WrestleMania ever, whatever, greatest stuff of all time, and then quite the pivot.
Quite the turn.
But don't worry.
I'm worried because I'll have to review Gallus matches.
Not yet,
Plural.
because we come back from the adverts straight into Chase U.
Yes, we do.
Where things are well again. Of course, they're back on track after the calendar sales. It's like they made sense of this whole thing. The movers are putting everything back in place. There's Andre Chase's podium. This was weird. So Duke Hudson gets his MVP trophy back. Like, was that just sat in a pawn shop for like 6 weeks? Is that what we're led to believe? If everything is exactly as it was, has that been back in a pawn shop and they've bought it back?
Just the administrators probably put it in a warehouse.
Of course. Thank you. Yet again, you've helped me make sense of all of this. Andre Chase says, we've been through some dark clouds, but we've made it out. Yeah, you said.
We've been through some dark clouds. What are you, plane?
Correct. He's a teacher. And it's all thanks. And I can't edit the swears, so I can't do this proper justice. Please go and watch it. To JC, mother flipping Jane. Huge bab. He drops another one, and after that, he says, Chase U's mother flipping back. He's just like, he's feeling himself,
yeah.
You know? Anyway, they're all buzzing. Thea Hale's like, this is great. Everything couldn't be better. Anyway, I got a date coming up soon with Riley Osborne, so I'm going to go over there to speak. It's literally as far away as we are now. That's the size of the classroom. JC Jane shoots her a bit of a look. Yep. We catch it, but Thea doesn't.
Yes.
Unless she watches
the show.
The show.
Yeah.
Why would we watch the show?
Why would we watch the show?
Listen to this podcast. Thea, we're telling you, JC didn't like the look of that, but that's all right. JC greets the Riz that's walked into the classroom, and JC rocks up with this envelope, a fat envelope, as Alan Partridge would say, full of cash. And the Riz holds it and is like, it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy. And JC says, yeah, we sold even more calendars than we thought. Anyway, don't you have a busy night tonight? You're going to be in action against Jada Parker and Tony D, who've got the titles on the line. And that's when Riz says, come on, I ain't got a date. Get to the point.
I like Riz. I do like the Riz. I do have a fondness for the family, of course. Yeah. You know, we are biased because, you know, Stax likes to pop in. But what I like about the Riz is that it's all based on The Sopranos. The Riz is called Adriana the Riz. Yep. There is a character in The Sopranos called Adriana. So you'd think she would draw inspiration from Adriana, but she instead does the exact same face as a Silvio.
Yes.
It's just the Silvio faces.
Well,
it's one of some of the best faces in The Sopranos, to be fair.
Yeah. Like for the reaction shot to him. It was that face she pulled when JC said, look, if they escape with the belts tonight, Chase U wants a shot. And she pulled that exact face. I'll speak to the Dawn. So Chase U now.
She would have shared.
Potentially been given a title shot, or will they? We'll have to see. Oh, yeah, sorry, I was putting it off. We have to get back to Ridge Holland versus Gallus now. Sorry about this, everybody. It's a gauntlet match. And
this is probably the funniest thing that's ever been related to Gallus.
I think you might be right. It starts with,
not earnestly. No.
It starts with Holland and Wolfgang. It's bad. It's bland. It's stomps. It's into the corner. It's punches. It's like sort of very rudimentary headlocky stuff. Then back to some kicks and back to some punches.
Grunts.
Like Vic Joseph can barely contain himself as a suplex is hit. And then we go to break. We come back and he's beat Wolfgang in the ads. So, like,
of course he has.
NXT, hey, you all right, I think, because at least we didn't have to watch any more of that match in full.
Indeed.
And we don't get a great deal more of this entire gauntlet that he's running, because we get about 5 minutes of a Joe Gacy match. The offense is, yet again, all the same. There's the odd suplex and throw here and there. There's belly in there at one point, but mostly it's just punches in the corner, kicks in the corner.
Punches, a suplex, corner stuff.
Gallus boys on top on the outside, punch the ring and all that. He goes to Ridge Holland, goes to pin Mark. I was going to call him Mark Gallus there. Might as well, mightn't he? Mark Coffey.
Yes.
But Joe pulls out the Ridge Holland at 2. Referee just rolls out with him and DQs him straight away. So the gauntlet's over before we even got to third man.
Thank you.
Ridge Holland wins the gauntlet with a pin we didn't see and a DQ. And he didn't even need to fight the third man. One of the better book gauntlets ever with Gallus in. Certainly.
Yes.
We get the post-match where all Gallus beat him up, and it can't be any clearer that Ridge Holland's got no friends. Nobody is coming to save him. So he just makes a save himself by kicking all her asses.
With a chair.
He grabs a steel chair. He just obliterates Joe Coffey. Just goes and goes and goes and goes, and then drops the chair suddenly. Referees part ways. Ridge goes into the corner, and those hands that held the chair. He goes to that place, Sidge.
What violence have they wrought?
What have I done? What have I done?
What did Vic Joseph say here?
It was something along the lines of like, oh yeah, Ridge has got a bit of a history of breaking people and injuring. He's like, they're drawing out the fact from like Ridge Holland, the terrible Big E one, his own injuries in NXT, and then the worked Dragunov one is now all tied together as law, and that now includes smashing Joe Coffey with a chair like Steve Austin and The Rock.
So I cannot believe that on tonight's edition of NXT, the role of Johnny Gargano will be played by Ridge Holland. I thought we still do jokes about the Shawn Michaels school of melodrama,
yes,
staring at one's hands. Realistically, that joke's about 5 years old.
Yeah.
Maybe like 4 to 5 to 6 years old.
Like
we're in 2024.
One final beat, apex of all of that, would you say?
Yeah, kind of stopped, I think, after that.
Yeah.
But my God, it's back.
With a vengeance.
Ridge Holland is asking himself why he is so violent. It's like maybe because like it's a contact sport. Maybe because he used to play another contact sport.
Why did I score a try?
Yeah.
With these hands.
Wrestling's a contact sport. That's why he's violent.
So I assume
Ridge Holland.
Well,
is there a put in Ridge Holland, Johnny Gargano?
Well, Johnny Gargano when he was... That's better than I was going to say. I'm going to say when he was learning to like the Derek, he was walking over the bridge, Holland.
Learn to like the dog. He's not from Newcastle. I can't do Yorkshire. Learn
I mean, I like the dark.
Yeah, I like the dark.
I like the dark.
Dark's all right.
I don't mind it. Eyeing me and follow me through corridors of a factory. It's the dark of the matinee. It was great when you used to hear Michael in the club, wasn't it? I felt like a million goddamn dollars. I know that look.
I likes to like giving a Franz Ferdinand Michael in the club.
I lived that look
myself because it was an excuse for people to dance with you.
It sure was. Thanks, Franz Ferdinand. Sincerely, thank you. We're back to Von Wagner and Robert Stone.
I listened to it on the way home.
Where am I? Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Franz Ferdinand, we'll go it for a second.
The first album's really good.
Mm-hmm. Where are my manners? Von Wagner and
Robert Stone.
They're walking backstage. They want more, obviously, of the metaphor, but they bump into Lexus King. He just sort of like slides into shot, like greasily as he does. He mocks them losing, and Vaughn says, "Get out of here. Get out of here now." And Lexus doesn't, which probably blows Vaughn's mind. Wait a second,
I said now.
King wants, as much as he'd love, to stay here and swim in their misery. He is the grossest man alive. He's got a new beard where he's put some cuts in the middle of it. He says the king has bigger and better things to do tonight. He's the king now, so third person stuff. This continues to work for me.
Yes, it does. I know he's useless. I know he's below average in the ring.
He says he's got some business to take care of.
He's pretty much a dick.
Yeah, he's a real
But
leader.
he's also good. I don't know how it works.
Wrestling allows for these people to slip through the cracks. He's got some business to take care of later on, and the king says that maybe Vaughn's guy,
Robert Stone,
should bring the Bash brothers to the entrance to see what like a real star looks like. And then he walks away slowly, and then after like a real pregnant pause, Stone's like, "Hey, shut up about my kids." And Vaughn's like, "Leave it, he's not worth it."
Well, he is.
Yeah.
Let's earnestly analyse NXT, I'm sorry.
Wet.
Okay. So the baby faces perform Operation Sneak Attack, right? Which is basically the baby faces perform heel maneuver 101. Mm. Okay. They then have a match against heels. in fairness, they get cheated out of the match against the heels, but they're still losers.
Yep.
They're a loser, right? Baby faces, sneak attack, lose. The runt of the show. Yes, he has some wins, but he's the most detestable, like, cheat merchant.
Worst guy.
Yeah, rule bender to be like a
nice.
mid-90s magazine.
Rule breakers and fan favourites.
Yes, right. Talks about your kids.
Yeah.
And you don't shin him. You don't beat him up. Like Robert Stone, I love your act with Von Wagner, but you're useless as a babyface. It just doesn't work. Imagine John Moxley doing this.
No.
Exactly.
Kill him, wouldn't they? Yeah. It's coming next week, though, isn't it? They're going to have an interaction again. It's going to lead to a match. We might get a roadblock.
Nexus King's getting pushed against Obafemi.
That's true, he is.
So he got away with it scot-free.
Oh, my God. What if, who have we just been talking about? Ron's guy?
Robert Stone.
Sees an opportunity and, like, puts his hands together and you get, like, an Obafemi Von Wagner power team. Isn't that? Road Warrior energy.
Well, I mean, that would be the one time you're allowed to say they're the new Road Warrior.
Yeah.
Is anything? Yeah, no, I'll have that.
Yeah.
I'll have that.
It's giving demolition.
It is.
This wasn't.
Yeah, the second time, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, this absolutely wasn't, and I'll never compare these to Demolition, even the 3-man version of it, because the no quarter catch crew were like just virtually trying to fornicate with the Heritage Cup. Basically,
Yeah,
cut backstage,
trying
they're,
to shag it.
licking it, stroking it, sniffing it, all that sort of stuff. Like, just look like a bunch of total creeps. So it turns out, of course, they're the baby faces now, because the Metaphor rock up and no one's like, get your hands off my trophy.
I was like, who am I meant to enjoy here?
Yeah.
Who am I meant to like?
The NQCC, as I might shorten them to, a bit like, because they're like the BCC of NXT in a way, aren't they?
Yep.
So they're like, I know I'm Dar's like, whoa, you can looky, but you can't touchy. That's word for word.
That is verbatim.
And the NQCC were like, yeah, well, one of these days we'll get that for real. And Charlie Dempsey's banging on about how it represents the rich history of British rounds wrestling. Like, you were a loser, mate. Fill that trophy full of piss so your dad can drink it.
Go on, Noah, while you're at it.
So anyway, Damon Kemp gets the last line. He's like, "Oh, we'll kick your ass, lads," and then they take it outside. So yeah, I think this was a sort of babyface turn, maybe.
I tell you what, means Von Wagner's out the bloody picture.
Yeah, fine. Oh, wasn't when he didn't win the Heritage Cup in that first match? It was game.
Von Wagner and Robert Stone versus the Wolf Dogs.
Yes.
Bron Breakker can do business for Von on the way out.
Stand and deliver.
Territory.
Tick, tick, mother flip me tick.
Yep.
Good to go. Lola Vice and Tatum Paxley next. Not terrible. Lola Vice wrestles at the mat earlier on.
This is bad, but not mechanically.
I think I like watching Lola Vice's submissions, but it is a reminder that
It was the story.
It's the story.
That I loathed.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
So on the nose.
It is so daft. But sometimes when Lola Vice wrestles and a submission game is really strong, it does remind you that even the best submission wrestlers in the world are pro wrestlers, and it's a dance. And you need cooperation. That's why a Bryan Danielson and a Zack Sabre Jr. can look so perfect, because not only can they apply, but they can know exactly where to be to help the application for the other.
And dramatic effect.
Indeed. This was just Lola Vice trying to very literally grab holds in a quite clumsy looking way. But I think they got there in spite of Tatum Paxley's ridiculous character that she's forced to play.
They didn't. But we just talk about the match, I'll bury it.
Okay. So, Paxley keeps like powering out of these submissions, but Lola Vice keeps grabbing her again. There's like a pinfall attempt where she rolls her up and then she like traps her in a little bit of a sleeper, but Tatum Paxley keeps powering out. Vice ultimately gets control. She's beating her around the ring. She's hitting those like stiff strikes and kicks that she does. Lyra Valkyria, Bird Person, is out there to sort of show a bit of support for Tatum Paxley. They're not friends, but she kind of owes her one a little bit after the distraction kind of helped last week.
Indeed.
At which point, when like Tatum Paxley sees Lyra Valkyria, she appears to fire up. She hits Lola Vice with an enziguri, gets another roll up, and then Lola Vice just absolutely boots her head off, clean off with a kick. Only gets a 2 count. Paxley's reaching out to Lyra for help, and Lyra's like, "Go on, you can do it." At which point, Lola Vice just like drills her with a back fist to put her down again. She goes for a cover. This time, rather than kicking out, she puts her foot on the rope. So she's as good as done, pretty much. At which point, Lola Vice picks her back up, smashes her into the mat, and then locks her with like a head scissor submission for the win. Again, all happening in front of Bird Person. Tatum Paxley is knocked completely out, and she's as good as under the ropes. So Lyra Valkyria, to try and make it look as if this is definitely a natural thing that, platonic friends would do rather than somebody that's clearly dealing with a psycho stalker, she picks her up and carries her off to the back as Lola Vice has gotten her revenge for last.
Threshold style.
Yes.
Right,
Said
okay.
you weren't a fan of the action.
Well, the action before the main story beat was, I guess, mechanically tight in a really bland and generic and forgettable way. No. Not necessarily a game.
Okay.
We are here to play. Instead, I have a riddle. I have a riddle for you.
Okay. So,
if you're a professional wrestler, what is your enemy, but also your friend?
your frenemy.
Yes. If you're a professional wrestler, what is your enemy, but also your friend?
Oh, I see.
You got three guesses, as is custom.
An ally coming out to support you.
No.
Because they would be a friend, but typically at least you getting distracted and losing in front of them.
No.
Being trained by one of the all-time greatest wrestlers ever, but that wrestler is Shawn Michaels.
No, but I do like that. Oh, because it's like the good news, bad news situation of Shawn Michaels. Hey! But it's 2002 to 2009 Shawn Michaels. No. Right.
Go on then.
If you're a wrestler, what's your enemy, but also your friend? It's the ropes. Because you can use them to create propulsive bursts of momentum and fly into an attack. Or, you could, if you're Bron Breakker or Nathan Fraser, you could really hurt your head on them.
Yep.
Actually getting thrown into the ropes can hurt, and just gently, lower that energy bar. So the rope, if you are in a tight spot, it's your friend. I can escape the submission,
yes.
Okay? And, it's also your enemy, because if you're doing the submission, no, I'm too close to the ropes, they are now my enemy.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're like a wrestler who can deal, not just in strikes or submissions, if you're a wrestler, right, and you are trying to defeat your opponent and you're right in the danger zone, and this opponent's like, they're kicking out, but, it's sort of one of those deals where the lights are on but no one's home.
Yeah.
You just need to put them away now.
They're acting on instinct because of ring awareness and nothing else. That's all they've got for their foot on the rope or whatever. Yeah.
If you're Lola Vice in this match, to tell the story of, basically the story, and it's so crap, is Lyra Valkyria is urging Tatum Paxley to kick out, survive, stay in it. To tell the story, she has to be by the ropes. Tatum Paxley has to be next to the ropes. I don't know why they couldn't just use their multiple camera setup.
The last minute of the match takes place in a 1 foot by 1 foot square, doesn't it? In that corner.
Allowing Tatum Paxley to get a foot on the ropes.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're Lola Vice, you could not have looked dumber here. Drag her to the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
They call it clean in the middle, not confusing by the ropes. You know what I mean? Or it's called clean in the middle of the ring, right? Not too close for comfort by the ropes.
Yeah.
They wrestled in an inch.
They did.
This program
In order for the
bobbins.
one camera over Lyra's shoulder to catch the story
It's a shame there's just one.
taking place.
It's a shame there's just one camera. God damn it.
Couple of big
Stinks.
backstage developments here.
Like a show is just invites snarky pricks like me to just point out everything that's wrong with it. Maybe concentrate on doing good, clever things.
Disagree, because I'd rather concentrate on what we got next, which is Luca Crucifino meeting Tony D for the first time.
Adam Wilborn, you piece of trash.
I don't know you from Adam.
He's been a little bit disagree. Been very dismissive of me in 2024. This is what you get, pal.
Yeah.
This is basically, right, I'm not joking, like in AEW, I'm trying to think of Oh my God, they've interacted at long last. To be fair, Tony Khan's quite good at that.
This had a handshake, so this is Wilborn's mega powers.
Basically.
Finally.
Basically, it's like, oh my God, that character's finally interacting with that character.
Yeah.
I didn't think they would ever share screen time or whatever. Like Brother Muzone and Omar.
Oh, God.
That was one of the best scenes in TV history.
He's finished. He's done. He can go in that car park as much as he wants. I'm trying not to name a name because I don't want to spoil it if you're midway through the wire. But a character that you think is never going to get caught, he gets goddamn caught when Omar and Muzone get together. My wife was heavily pregnant when I was rewatching that scene once, and I exclaimed, I yelped all over again that I woke her up trying to have a nice sleep. This show that I've probably seen 3 or 4 times gets this big climactic moment. Oh God! When they finally get him, class. As was this, because Luca Crucifino says to Tony D, Tony D's the only one in the room. That much we know. It's a locker room, but Tony is on his own. Solitary moment of thought before the big match tonight, and Luca Crucifino says, "Look. You didn't even really sign up for these two, did you? I don't know. This has just happened as quickly as it's happened."
He's had a contract.
And Tony's left to think. And he says, anyway, I'll get out your hair. I'll shake hands and walk off shot. In 1/8 of a second later, Stacks appears to Tony D's right-hand side. Hey, boss.
So it's the idea, obviously, that...
I think Luca's trying to get in the middle, isn't he?
He's trying to get in the middle of Stacks and Tony D.
Yeah. By sort of suggesting to Tony, this didn't need to be this way.
But that guy's...
There's absolutely no way that Luca is even as far as you are from me now at the point at which Stacks appears in
honestly, it's ridiculous. The show is... It depends on your threshold for this sort of thing.
Tony D and Stacks have a chat about the match tonight. The Riz walks back in so they can pep her up for a match against Jada Parker. And of course, reminisce about the time that she... battered Joey D'Agostino, and then she cuts in to say Joey Dags was a punk, because obviously every week we learn a little bit about the history that we never saw.
The Sopranos characters talk in terms of remember when The Sopranos itself as a TV show had that as the worst kind of conversation.
Yeah,
correct.
But, speaking of fantastic writing, Sidge.
Right.
So Tony D, with Stacks and everything, he's like, and so right, let's go, let's defend the titles.
Okay, let's go.
Come on, Stacks, we got to do it. And then he says, and this is what might tie us back to Luca trying to get in the mix. He says, come on, Stacks, it's stand and deliver season. So Tony's thinking, I want to get us all the way to WrestleMania weekend with the belts. And as we know later on, not happening.
Yeah.
Could Wilborn's dream be even bigger than he could have imagined? Might we get the...
Well, that'd be very bittersweet for him.
Yeah. Well, who would we cheer for? Because we've got a great affection for Tony, but Stacks is virtually a colleague at this point.
I'd be cheering for Stacks.
Yeah, me too, I think.
Yeah.
I've never seen Wilborn cheer against Tony D, though.
Tony D's better in the ring. Sorry, Stacks. But he is.
Not a lot in it.
Nope.
We say backstage. It's better anyway. It's better there anyway. Lyra Valkyria is checking on Tatum Paxley, who is completely sparkless, totally knocked out, when Shotzi, who of course was getting into it with Valkyria on Twitter last week, asking for a title shot, appears in person and says, look, I want a shot. Lyra accepts for next week. They're going to have the match. Shotzi wants to take the belt into Elimination Chamber. And then before she heads off, she says, hey, best deal with your best friend there. And she's pointing at Tatum Paxley, who's just knocked out. And Lyra Valkyria... I know Oscar season, has it passed? Have we had the Oscars yet, or we just had the screeners out?
We just had the noms.
Right, well, there's time for this
one. Have we had the noms?
Time for this one to sneak in. Yeah, because Iron Claw didn't get any, did he? And that was a bit controversial.
Yeah.
There's time for this scene to get in at the last minute then, because Lyra Valkyria says, she's not my friend. And then as she says that, Tatum Paxley springs back to life, and you're thinking, no, so listen, she says, we're all thinking, did Tatum hear that? Because Tatum's a bit mad and Lyra's going to be in real trouble. But then she just springs up. So we got Shotzi next week then. And Lyra's like, what? And it fades out. And they don't even reference the fact that means that Tatum must have heard what Lyra said.
Yeah.
I think Lyra's in real trouble.
Yeah, same here. I do not care. It's the worst.
Didn't even need to wake up from the sort of dazed state she was in. She could have just watched it.
Yeah, it's the worst.
She would know the information. Yet another reason why it's goated. As is this, Riz versus Jada Parker. Doesn't go very long. Jada Parker's pretty much dominant throughout. Riz's stuff is...
The story was pathetic.
Yeah.
The story ambition to action and like atmosphere. It was just pathetic.
Riz has basically got Irish whips and corner attacks.
In Tomohiro Ishii's guts.
Yes, because early in the match, she's getting knocked from pillar to post. Then she kind of fires back, hulks up a little bit by pulling out her earrings. Gets a big response in the building. So now I'm really serious. So we go back and forth again. There's really no meat on the bones of the action, but you're just seeing this baby face. That
surely wearing earrings is dangerous.
Well, that's it. And that's I guess why she's torn them out, ready to go.
Should have done before the match.
But Jada Parker keeps asserting her dominance ultimately. Riz will have the odd comeback. Jada Parker will take over yet again. Jada Parker looks like she's got a beat quite easily, but Riz refuses to stay down to the point where after kicking out at 2,
the match is bad.
Yeah.
They're both green as grace.
Yeah. After kicking out at 2, she goes to her knees and she's like, come on, Bob, the World Wide Web. She said, come on. And then Jada's like, all right then. And just runs her with a massive forearm and beats her.
It's pathetic. I mean, this is the kind of story that you would tell, how to put this? This is like a 3-minute television match, but they are trying to tell you that the Riz has got she's going out on a sword.
Yeah.
It's like the badass last stand in the movie.
Yes.
When the hero, who isn't really the biggest hero, but my God, what a number 2 guy.
My favourite ever example in wrestling is this Bayley Asuka rematch. When Bayley has realised there is just simply no way to beat this woman. She's like, come on, hit me. And then Asuka just boots her head off and then pins her. And it's you feel a heartbreak, but you gave it everything.
Yeah.
I would have gone into battle with you knowing you were going to die.
Yeah. It's the big, I'm going to sacrifice myself for the greater good cinematic moment.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible 3-minute TV match. It's so bad. Shawn Michaels, you used to be great at this. How do you not know that this sucks?
When are the family going to get to retelling the stories of the time that the Riz got her ass kicked? Hey, remember when you got beat that easy?
Hey, think about it is Riz, you got Moxie.
That's the main thing. Where's your earrings? We go backstage to Dijak in his awesome little, darkened room. He's upgraded his technology. He's got
and he's wearing his sunglasses even though he's inside.
Take those stupid sunglasses off.
But the thing is, if he did take those stupid sunglasses off, you wouldn't have got those really cool shots of Dijak in the aviators with the screen reflected in them. My God, this sucks.
I thought I was watching this in the Baltic. It was so artistic. You saw half of the scenes, including last week, one of our favourite NXT moments of all time, surely.
Yes.
Dijak shoot punching, nearly dragging off in the heat. Right between the eyes, down he goes again, bang. I want to look at that every week, I think. I want to remind, how dumb can this get? This dumb. And then he's pretty annoyed because, and that's what's great, I'll never forget that was back-to-back on the same night as Gacy hitting him with a boxing glove on a stick. Those two things will always be intertwined. Dijak sees this and he's angry, and you see the hand tapping on the table suddenly becomes a clenched fist, and he reaches under and he pulls out a duffel bag, and we don't know what's inside, but we're going to find out later on. Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin are getting ready, psyching themselves up for the tag match backstage. Corbin wants Bron to say that he's definitely ready. He says, look, you're too busy concentrating on which GM's going to sign you for Raw, SmackDown. I got Nick Aldis pulling up outside with a truckload of money, and Bron suddenly snaps into it and goes, what, really? And Baron goes, no, and that's my point, get friggin' ready.
And Bray goes, shut up, man.
Shut up, dude. Shut up, you dude. Shut up, you pube. And he's like, anyway, so speaking about being ready, I'm surprised you're ready. I saw you partying up at the Super Bowl. You're not going to want to go celebrate with all your mates. And
Zeitgeist heist, because they mentioned Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
That's right. Because the Super Bowl happened, Sidge. Don't know if you're aware of the biggest sporting event in the world taking place on Sunday, but NXT.
And is that the most viewed television event of all time?
Yeah. Number one.
Well, in America, anyway.
Number 2.
America's not the world.
Number 2, this episode of NXT. So it's number 2 remind you of what number 1 is. So
he's not here. You don't have to do it.
Baron Corbin says, oh yeah, you're right, but I want to go to these celebrations with my half of the NXT tag team titles on my shoulder. And Bron's like, well, that's good. I want to hear that from you. You're hungry for this, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm starving. He's like, go on. You're hungry like the wolf, right? And he says, yeah, dog. No! incredible. Like, earnestly good WWE comedy.
Really good
when they never get
delivery.
this right.
And the thing is, me and Hamflett have got this new hatred of, I think we talked about it literally earlier today. We were talking earlier today, and we were talking about how we don't like wrestlers who are taking food off my table.
Yeah.
The worst thing about you taking food off my table is I was hungry for that food. So that's double bad. Not only is it the disrespect that you're taking food off my table, I was actually hungry at the time.
Hungry and I need to eat.
Yeah, I hate it so much. Yeah. We've discussed this at length, Emmett. So when I heard the words hungry coming out of Bron Breakker's mouth, like Corbin's mouth or whatever, I thought, oh, God. And they subverted it.
Because they need to get a wolf put in so they can do dog.
Get Copeland in the Performance Centre. He can learn something off these two.
Corbin says if they win the belts tonight, he'll stand in the ring and he'll say wolf dogs one time. Just for Bron. And then it feels like it's moving away. And then Bron's like, yeah, let's go. And then he hits him with a friendly chop, but like really hard. Yeah. And Bron's like, oh, Jesus Christ, mate. And like, but they're bros.
They're bros, man. They're absolute bros now.
Next up, Carmelo Hayes versus Joe Gacy. Carmelo Hayes has got all this heat. There was a recap earlier in the night
heat
of everything that happened last week.
200 people baying for his blood.
Where he explained that it was him that attacked Trick Williams, and next he wants Ilya Dragunov wants to ascend back to being NXT champion. The fans are chanting, you sold out Carmelo Hayes, as Joe Gacy takes advantage at the start. He hits like a backdrop, then a backbreaker. Eventually, Hayes manages to drag his legs down, drag his legs down to the floor to like at least get him on the ground with him, but Gacy gets back up, hits him with quite a nice springboard clothesline, does Carmelo Hayes. But when Joe Gacy rolls to the floor and then crawls under the ring, check this, Sidge, Carmelo Hayes is like, oh, bloody hell, what are you doing, you weird freak? And then he goes under the ring to check, and Joe Gacy is nowhere to be found. He's crawled all the way to the other side, and he runs back in the ring and runs and hits him with a dive. He just doesn't give a damn.
He doesn't.
Joe Gacy, I should say, point out a new feature this week of his entrance. He's got his finisher, the upside down. Well, it's a starter as well, because when he's walking to the ring, that camera, whoa, I wonder if Phil. I bet he won't, because I bet what he'll do is like cut the end off, cut the start off, and just press upload. He's like, I do not need any more of the daddies than I already get in the office. But if Phil, if for whatever reason, is watching and editing this, and he turns the camera upside down for just a second, that's what NXT did with Joe Gacy. Best production in the world.
I love this as well. That's the new trend on a squared circle and on.
Oh, it's bollocks, man, isn't it?
It's a cool new production technique on WWE TV now. It's absolute placebo effect, because you read a report that Kevin Dunn, whose tendrils are all over this company, and he wasn't even that physically present towards the end of his tenure there.
We've been waiting years for Dunn to go for moments like this, and it's just a match graphic.
It's just like the Raw logo's a bit darker.
Thanks, Paul.
Like Tommaso Ciampa does a promo now to the camera before he goes to the ring.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. The production style fundamentally is indistinguishable to what it was 5 weeks ago.
We come back. Speaking of which, we go to a break after that dive because NXT rolls on.
Oh, it rolls on.
And we come back from the break and the advantage is completely shifted. And now Carmelo Hayes has got Gacy in a half crab. But Gacy's enjoying it, Sidgwick. What do you do with a man who enjoys pain? Another man that enjoys pain. The world champion's already that.
I was going to say, Joe Gacy versus Ilya Dragunov could beat the record set by the Island Death match.
Would the trick to that be, do you have to like double psychology? Do you have to get in the ring and lie down? Because your opponent is expecting to hit you really hard. So let's say Gacy gets in and Dragunov's rubbing his thighs going, he's going to hit me really hard in a minute with that like flipping cutter he does. And then Gacy just lies down. Dragunov's like, excuse me, I was preparing to get attacked here. And then he's so rattled by that Gacy can roll him up.
Here, because the idea of the psychology of the match between Dragunov and Joe Gacy is that they both want to experience pain.
Yeah.
Right, I've got the layout then.
Go on.
Okay, so what happens is they sort of forearm exchange each other and they both really enjoy it. Okay? Like too much, and this goes on for 15 minutes. One of them, even though they're really loving it, they essentially come and they collapse to the mat.
Yep.
Okay? The cover's made, but they do the old, you know, when the horse is squashing the skinny wimp.
Yeah.
And they're not done with you yet. They want to, you know, make a statement. Says, I don't want to pin you yet because that would bring an end to this match and my enjoyment of feeling pain in this match. Mm-hmm. So no one wants to end the match, okay? So what eventually happens in this match
What
is
sort of time are we talking at this point?
25 minutes.
Right.
What eventually happens is that they're feeling a little bit like, so I'm getting some like sharp, blunt force trauma here. And that's good. That's good. That really hurts. That's good. But there's gaps. I need to endure some like excruciating, unrelenting pain. Okay. So go on, put us in a figure four then. Put us in a figure four. Right. And then what happens is that they're in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Figure four. Then they do the old, I'm going to roll onto my belly and reverse the pressure.
Yeah.
Your turn, my turn. Your turn, my turn. Your turn, my turn. They then do that spot all the way up the ramp. So they can each get pain, volley the pain back and forth. They do it all the way out of the performance center and just up like, one of those like endless expanses of American Road.
Yeah.
The freeway.
Yeah.
The freeway, they're just doing that up the freeway the entire time. They're coming, they are getting like their skin scraped off and they're coming. And they're getting flayed essentially, and they're ejaculating.
Forrest Gump runs past them, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
like the Nevada desert or something like that.
Yeah.
Dave Meltzer gives it 4 1/4.
It's always 4 1/4.
Oh, anyway, Gacy goes. Thinking rolling out the building. They're in the parking lot and somebody runs them over.
Yeah.
It's all not to go to the car park for it, but they like it. They both got a wheel each.
Yeah,
Oh, God, that was class.
Absolute tantric.
Mello gets nothing but net on Gacy for the win. And ultimately, this is more about the post-match. Mello's got his win, and then we presume he's going to go on to fight Dragunov, possibly at Roadblock, because it's got to be trick at Stand and Deliver, isn't it? Dijak comes in, smashes Gacy with a nightstick, just puts a bigger smile on his face, and then puts Gacy in a straight jacket so he can't even defend himself. Guess what, Sidge? Gacy likes that too.
This match was, I feel like, bad just saying, I know it was every quote-unquote quite good match you've ever seen, because this is very much Joe Gacy trying to, like, my read on it is that this is Joe Gacy really trying to tell people, Jesus Christ, I've been stuck in the jism for what feels like 10 years. I can go. I'm desperate to show you I can go. So he's really dialed in and motivated to put on a good match, and it wasn't great. It was good. Like, they hit each other hard. Some of the sequences were all right and all the rest of it. But this is them just... Carmelo wrestles this kind of match all the time, and I think Joe Gacy was very intent on telling people that he can, in fact, wrestle this kind of match to a certain standard. And they went hard. Didn't really mean anything to me. It didn't really touch me on any level, but they went hard.
Mello, for me at this point, needs this trick match. I'm glad it's happening, presumably, in a big building in Philadelphia rather than here in this NXT setting, and a goal to be done.
Yes.
He's better as a heel. He is better as a heel. I think his work connects more as a heel, but I need to see him in front of crowds working as a heel to see what we've really got.
Yeah, because I don't know. I was
just told as a babyface it was the next big thing, and there were so few matches as evidence, but I think we're on the right track with him again. But time to leave NXT. Brinley Reese is warming up.
Yes.
I like Brinley Reese. She's doing, like, it could have been squats, whatever.
Brinley Reese performs her gymnastics.
Yes.
With the same zeal with which you watch The Fed.
Yes, that's right, yes. So she's doing a gymnastic warm-up, again, with unnecessary zeal, should we say, considering it's just a warm-up. And she's talking to Kalani Jordan. She's ready for the match. She's had all her G's of P's. That's grams of protein, of course, that's what we all say. Have you had any G's of P's today?
I've had some leftover peas of kebab meat.
Yeah,
There's probably protein in there. It's a kind of meat.
I had G's of peas in my porridge this morning. It's because it's one of the ones that actually says protein, and you think, if I eat this porridge, I'm going to get jacked.
Yeah, I love that.
I only buy it because it's like the only chocolate flavoured variant, and that's there. But it says protein on the pot.
I like the syrup variations.
Yeah, golden syrup's the best one. Have you tried the rice pudding porridge?
Don't like rice pudding.
That's a shame. Missing out there. Like,
just an oxymoron, isn't it?
What's that?
Then I used to think the same thing of cheesecake.
We've talked about this before. Were you just late to cheesecake, or do you just even now not care that much about it?
No, I do enjoy cheesecake.
Because it was a Peter Kay joke, wasn't it?
Maybe I thought it was made of cheese. I don't think
cheesecake.
I don't think people like made cheese. like a hard cheese to put icing on it. But at the same time, I was scared.
Yeah, I get that. Especially,
And I was like 24.
that's the twist. Especially with like the
Why would they call it that? I know, because you make it with soft cheese. I've made it myself.
ones with the coulis on, especially because it's like fruit and weird cheese in a biscuit base and a cake. What the hell is going on
I
there?
was just scared of the concept. I wasn't a food guy until I was in my mid to late 20s.
Do you like cheesecake now?
That's delicious.
What's your favourite kind of cheesecake?
I like a baked.
Okay.
Do you like a baked cheesecake?
I like like there was it was an apprentice task, that was what it was, where they had to like design cheesecakes, and there was like the two teams always picked different ones, and one team went for more sort of chocolate and toffee flavours, and the other one went down the fruit route.
I'm not the big fruit guy.
I didn't think you would like, but I like a lemon cheesecake.
I'm not the biggest fan.
But a New York style cheesecake with all the chocolate and all the cream on top. It should be too indulgent, but it does work.
I like a baked cheesecake, or just a traditional cheesecake with like a raspberry coulis on it.
That's a fruity one, though.
It's not when you infect the cheese.
That's true.
I don't want the lemon cutting through it.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. They
A weird relationship with lemon in general.
the supermarkets.
Sometimes it's goated.
What? Right. So I like lemon desserts. So I like lemon cake, lemon cheesecake, lemon within.
I like a lemon drizzle.
I think I like all lemon. I think actually, you know, those Jif lemon shaped containers with Jif lemon for your pancakes.
They're goated, yeah.
Yeah, I could drink that. If you put like more of it into it, like, or you put it with like, mix it with like a gin and Agnostora bitters or something. Like, and
Oh, fancy dang.
I say things sometimes just to impress him. Like the lemon can't get bitter enough. I love that sensation. I love like being jazzed.
No, lemons are goated. They're just, because I like margaritas, that's more of a lime.
Yeah.
But I like a whiskey sour, and that's lemon.
Yeah. It's that sensation's pleasant, isn't it? It's not the same for like when we have those sweets.
Yes.
I quite like that, but some people just can't.
Oh, I do like, you know, lemons are goated. There's just a lemon cheesecake just doesn't really mix for me.
Yeah.
Lemon on cheese?
Can you make a cheesecake?
Yes, I can.
Can you? I say I'm still. This is it.
I'm not very good with biscuit bases.
Like-
Like, stick to the bottom.
Surprisingly good, like 99p range in Aldi in the cheesecake game. Not bad. For
The thing
like a
about
cookie dessert.
cheesecakes is like there's certain foods that simply do not work shop bought. They've nailed cheesecake in
Yeah.
those factories. They've nailed them. They've
mega
nailed
cheap.
them. Yeah, they're cheap and they've just nailed them.
My dad used to work at a potato factory, and it was right opposite one of the biggest cake maker brands. I don't want to get that brand in
So I
trouble.
had veg dinners on a Wednesday.
Damn right.
You get potatoes for free.
Well, for free. We also got cakes for free because my dad had a pretty good deal with the guy at the cake factory, and they would do a bit of swap.
I love this. It's like Victorian England. The
So-
potato factory, the cake factory.
We used to be a country.
Yeah,
Like, it
yeah,
used to
I know.
be better. That was it. And it was like everyone got cakes, everyone got potatoes, and the millionaires didn't even notice because they don't care. It was a better time.
Better time.
Yeah. Just a kitchen full of potatoes and a freezer full of cakes. It's just everything was better.
Makes so much with potatoes as well. Loads of different things you can make with potatoes.
Exactly,
It's the most
yeah.
versatile food there is.
I had from my dad working in that factory. They made pre-made.
Hang on.
What?
It's a potato factory, just not a farm.
Well,
What was your dad really doing?
probably a potato boxing factory, maybe.
Okay.
Like someone was just like, just go to.
I was going to my real job at the potato factory. You were just in the social club the entire time.
Probably wasn't.
Go to my real job at the potato factory.
Dad, why are you hammered again? And my dad's goated. So was when he worked at the potato factory. I really like that. But yeah, swapping spuds for cakes. It was a golden era since.
Cake factory.
Yeah.
Just a flour mill.
No, it was what's the
Like processed cake factory. Yeah,
the brand? You know the big Sara Lee. That was it.
yeah.
Kind of like the.
The potato factory. Let's come up with a real one, Mr. Hamflett.
I don't know what he did there. Like generations of sons not understanding what the dads do for a living. Me, my dad working in a factory that allegedly made potatoes. My kids like asking the dad what he does for a living, and me having to say, this kids, when I let you pass YouTube Kids and into adult YouTube, you'll get to see, and you'll despise that I do this. That's gonna be. How are they, by the way? Are they over the YouTube Kids threshold yet? Because our links are right there if they are.
We've got like a smart TV, and it's this hodgepodge of like the homepage algorithm dictated based on what you've previously watched. Here's what you watch next, and it's an amalgamation of like there's some Premier League highlights, wrestling stuff, obviously, then some of the worst stuff you've ever seen from a daughter's side of things, and then James likes his geography YouTube flags and things of that nature. So it's like a YouTube Kids. It's just on the smart telly, and I just trust YouTube not to...
YouTube Kids has got your back.
I put my head around the corner when I'm having a coffee in the kitchen.
YouTube Kids has got your back. YouTube Adult will put a knife in it. They've kind of TikTokified YouTube Kids as well. I'll hear from because the kids will watch it on a tablet, and I'll just hear these videos that last all of 10 seconds, and all you'll hear is like a football hitting a crossbar and some awful voice going, "Oh no!" And then a new video starts straight away, and I was like, "Yeah, that's it. My kids' brains. Kids' brains are turned to mush. Not like long form analysis of pro wrestling, including Brinley Reese preparing for a match. That was how we got into that. Anyway, she does loads of backflips. Lash Legend and Kalani Jordan get into an argument over respect, and that's that for now. More on Brinley Reese later on, because she had a goated week. But we go to another part of the backstage area for the women's
big old gym.
It is, isn't it? Where it's my favourite of all the backstage settings in NXT. The set of enough lockers where approximately 4 to 6 women can stand in the background miming, because if they spoke, you would hear their voices.
Yes.
They are an inch away from one another, but they all have to sort of mime in the background. Or if you just watch the segment, there was 6 on screen here, so I watched it 6 times. So you can then just watch everybody on player cam the entire time.
You know how I'm a kind of a big 80s nostalgia movie guy?
Yeah.
Right? What I miss is this, everything, it's weird. A lot of films feel inauthentic to me subsequently, because no one gets the idea of crosstalk. They're screaming at each other in Big Trouble in Little China, which I watched last night, probably the 400th time. The Goonies gets kids more than any of the film. I know you're not a fan.
Yeah.
But they're screaming at each other. It's chaos. That's how kids would sound. The opposite to that energy exists in the NXT women's locker room. It's you're meant to be able to hear it. Give us a bit of bustle.
Yeah, that's what a locker room
hang on. If there was a bit of bustle and an actual organic background noise to convey to me the slightest idea that this is a realistic environment, I wouldn't be able to hear. Who was it talking to Roxanne Perez?
It was Ren. What's her name? Ren Sinclair.
I would not be able to hear Ren Sinclair read Shotzi's Wikipedia page on her behalf to Roxanne Perez to explain to Roxanne Perez why she deserves a title shot. The show is abysmal.
Yeah, Roxanne Perez is pacing the floor, digging a trench about how angry she is, and Ren Sinclair is one of the women in the locker room who is allowed to project from the background into the foreground and explains, Shotzi deserves a shot and here's why. And Roxanne Perez said, that's really interesting, and then just wallops her with a dry slap and walks off. Absolutely drills her. Better than the Rock on Cody's, I think. Drills her and leaves. And obviously, Ren Sinclair is just devastated at what's become of Roxanne Perez. Next, it went to a vignette for Okada, obviously, because he's coming in, isn't he? It said, decode this one, Sid. Goodness is man's struggle.
Born evil.
Evil, however, is human nature.
Means we're all born evil. Goodness is a mask. The facade. Oh my God. They're basically going to do another. Remember when Joe Casey was just a parody of Dalibs? Because it was the right wing office basically. And he was the virtue signaling weirdo creep Joe Casey.
Let me back in my safe space. They would hear words on the internet. They'd be put them words in the script.
Yeah. Maybe it's another reboot. Because the whole idea is this character saying, people struggle to be good. We're born evil. Blah blah blah. It's all these virtue signaling wokes.
And that's what this character's going to do.
Yeah.
Kazuchika own the libs.
Yes.
That's going to be the gimmick for the Rainmaker. And he's rich. Yeah. That makes sense. All makes sense. Thank you. You cleared that up.
Thanks.
Obafemi's here.
He is.
He's wanting a chat. He's on about how he's dominant and he'll take on absolutely anybody. You can send anyone you like as long as you don't want them back. That's a pretty
That's
cool
a good here he is line.
Yeah. And could there be anybody better to answer that call than Lexis King? King's back. He gets
almost as good as that unbelievable Dynamite moment. Tarnished forever. Probably tarnished to begin with, given the people involved. But it was a good gag nonetheless. When Jericho's feuding with Tyson. And then he says, I want the baddest man on the planet to come to the ring right now. And obviously, a week before, Orange Cassidy just wandered into frame during an Inner Circle backstage segment. So Cassidy walks out after he calls her the baddest man on the planet. They used to be great.
This is much the same in a way, because, here's Lexis King to say, the King's very impressed. But I don't know if you heard what I just said there. You might be the ruler, but Lexis is the king. So he's in top trumps with king and ruling. So why don't we do this next week? And King goes to attack, and Obafemi easily counters and just hoists him out of the floor. Lexis King versus Obafemi for the belt next week.
First of all, that's funny. Second of all, I wouldn't say easily. There was a bit of a struggle.
I suppose, yeah.
It was a bit, I would say 65-35 in the favour of Obafemi, but Lexis King should be getting absolutely, pwned.
And he's gonna,
as the noob that he is, even though he's got 10 more pages on Cage Match than Obafemi.
He's gonna get splattered across the ring, but stuff's gonna happen off the back.
Yeah.
That's do you think Von Wagner? Do you think the Bash brothers are gonna laugh at him as he's being scraped off the mat, and that's how you get to Lexis King and Von Wagner?
Oh my God.
Yes,
it's gonna be right. We go backstage to the normal kitchen.
How long is this show?
Not much left, I promise you. Josh Briggs is having a normal chat in the normal kitchen.
Oh God, this is goated.
They're all. It's typically what they'd save for the specials. Who's going to win the tag titles, guys? Is going to and Brooks Jensen appears from the corridor of the normal kitchen and says, "You want me to grow some balls?" Briggs fires back straight away. It took him a whole week to think of that, and Brooks is like, "Yeah, kind of. Let's go." And they just start having this brawl. So even when he's finally plucked up the courage, be like, "That was really harsh last week." Briggs has gone, and you're still crap, mate.
Yeah,
I'll still just cut you down. They're throwing hands. It's got a bunch of people in to separate them. What has become of these former friends? Ava, she's not got a surname, she's a Rock's daughter. She steps in the middle of the two of them. She screams them, get out of the normal kitchen.
No. You're too animated in your recap here. What did she really say?
Out.
Yeah, correct.
Leave the normal kitchen. Serving normal food. And we'll cut ahead a little bit, actually, to a backstage vignette where she's on her phone confirming to somebody that we deduced was her that Briggs versus Brooks is booked for next week.
Yeah, Ava Rain, who is the general manager of NXT. I just need to unpack this and just to make it perfectly clear for the listeners and the viewers. Ava Rain, who is the general manager, who the book stops with Ava Rain.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, she hasn't got a surname. She's the Rock's daughter.
I'm not sure if it stops. I just don't think it ever started.
Yeah.
I don't think she's got 7 in her pocket.
She is the decision maker. She is the general manager of WWE NXT. Maybe she's talking to Sean?
Checking it with Sean, yeah. Possibly.
But isn't she redundant then?
Yeah.
In every... Yeah.
Aye. She confirms it. Roxanne Perez comes in. She's unhappy and she wants a match with Ren Sinclair. And Ava's like, well, Ren wants one with you. And Roxanne's like, that's perfect. And Ava says, look, if you can beat her, we'll get you back on track. We'll get the women's title back in play. And Roxanne Perez seems relatively happy with that for the time being. There was a match in between those segments. It was Kiana James and Brinley Reese. Kiana makes relatively short work of Brinley Reese, but it would be remiss of me to not mention Brinley introducing in this match a series of cartwheels and flips. That's what she does. Yeah, literally all the time, every day. Including one where she it's good in theory. It's like a self-propelling buckshot lariat. She doesn't springboard off the ropes. She springboards off her own hands. That's super impressive.
Oh, she's an unbelievable athlete.
And she flips it.
Part of the NIL program.
She puts her hands forward, does a front flip all the way over, lands on her feet and hits a clothesline. It's a one fluid motion. However, there are 2 parts to a wrestling move. The person delivering the move and the person taking the move. In order for Kiana James, who we've established is kind of one of the more veteran presences in this women's division.
In
order for her to hit the ropes and then create the time and the space for Brinley Reese to do this very complex move, she has to do what Sidgwick's doing now, which is, first take a header off the ropes, which is now, I guess, just a bit within NXT, and then get so staggered by it that she's in place for this clothesline. And it doesn't even really make a difference because it's sort of all Brinley Reese has got. She manages to counter out of one of James's attacks and gets a TKO, like a Mark Mero TKO on her for a 2. But after that, Kiana James gets back in control, hits her with a Scorpion Death Drop as a counter, then picks her back up, hits her with a 401k, the bankrupt kick, and she gets the win. not much. Can we do the post-match as well with Brinley Reese?
Why wouldn't we?
So, backstage, Idris Sanofi and Malik Blade are worried about what happened to Brinley Reese. They've sort of like struck up a friendship when she was trying to make them feel better after their loss. They're like, we're going to have to do that for her now. They're taking the mick out of her a bit. Maybe we should say 5 positives and 5 negatives. But we're like, no, come on. Like she's going to be down in the dumps. She literally cartwheels into the shot, Sidge. And they're like, you're all right, Brinley. And she's selling a bit. She's like, she appears to have hurt her arm and her chin based on the things that she continues to sell. She's like, oh, yeah, well, ow. No teacher-like experience, eh? But then they're like, what? But you lost. And so she's basically, where's the effect of like, I didn't lose. I'll just try better next time. I'm absolutely fine. Yeah, guys. Literally cartwheels out of shot. The other week when Nathan Frazier, anyway, see ya, guys, and ran really fast.
Yes.
He's fast now. Brinley Reese flips and cartwheels everywhere. Like, she doesn't walk because that wastes time.
Right, yeah. If you don't want any kind of even like talking around spoilers for the next 45 seconds for next week's show, if you just skip ahead, because we take the piss out of this show, mixture of ironic and earnest appreciation of it, etc., etc., etc. So because that's a general tone, do not get it mistaken when I say this is an actual serious point that I'm making individually, because like I don't want to make light of the injury suffered by Shotzi on the show for next week taped last night, so I'm not doing that. Like, they work these women in the PC, and there is kind of like a real problem with a series of injuries that have happened there. Like Cora Jade's on the shelf
again.
Nikita Lyons has just come back. Like, there's a spate.
Solberg is still out.
Yeah, a spate of knee injuries. Mm-hmm. And these idiots have told Brinley Reese to basically perform like heavy duty stuff on your knee as your gimmick. Are they taking the piss?
Floor gymnastics instead of walking.
Yes, that's your gimmick.
Yeah, funny.
In addition to your intensive training, questions about which are really starting to get asked now. Well, not internally, but like by media and the like and fans. In addition to what she does in the ring on TV, and she does floor gymnastics as a gimmick on television. It's I cannot imagine a future if her knee remains intact within a year.
And like wrestlers,
I know
generations have said it's hell on your knees.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sorry for the abrupt tone shift, but I have to kind of do that to say, she won't have a knee in a year. Like, I'm not taking the piss, especially in light of the Shotzi news. I will be staggered if she can like go injury free in that system under this gimmick. We take a pit. How stupid this show is. That's a new level of stupidity. Like, it is.
You're right. I want to laugh at it being dumb, but we have to be realistic with the precedent at this point that it could be dangerous.
Like, just being in that system to begin with at this point is getting dangerous.
You're a man who Cody Rhodes himself credited at being able to like really understand what he was thinking at a particular time of his career.
He said,
please get this right,
on the Instagram story, which he also posted back in 2020. Is this like, he sounds like, is he what's what I'm looking for? A shrink?
Oh,
like, how did he get in my head?
I'm going to ask you.
He's like, it felt like he'd been psychoanalyzed.
I'm going to ask you to get in his head from a prior era.
That's how insightful my words are. And that's also how passionate they are. I can read 120,000 of the bitches right here. If you live in the world, that is. Order it on Amazon right now.
Is your mind closed? Read Michael Sidgwick's book.
Indeed. And Cody Rhodes also said that it was a very refreshing, thought-provoking piece. That's a lie. That was Kenny Omega.
Well, I ask you about Cody. Why do you think he went all them legacy years with his like knee pads over his shins and his bare-ass knees just exposed to the rigours of the business? Because that was... what was that about? Is that in there?
It's in there.
I've forgotten the passage.
Basically, Cody's always wanted to stand out. And he was always cognizant that...
119,999 right in there.
that it was all but impossible in that cookie cutter developmental system. So the whole thing about Cody was like, what can I do to stand out? That's the key to, and it turns out that being like a really timeless classical babyface in a moves era was the way he eventually did it with his like genial sort of way about him. You know the Cody story. You all want him to finish it. That's how much you know about it. He's saying, like, he's sort of dashing and disfigured and like stardust. He's always sort of in the Intercontinental title. He's always pitching for or giving it the old college try on everything that was either his or somebody else's idea. He said that he wanted to pull the trunks up a little bit higher than most people and not wear the knee pads.
Yeah.
When studying tape of like Bockwinkles, and he always thought that people just looked a little bit more regal, and a bit more proper, and a bit more sportsmanlike and classic. And San Martino, like, he wanted to tap into that mold of like, he didn't want to look like a kick pad guy. He wanted to look more proper.
Yeah.
And that was his thinking. Obviously, he was just out of OV-dub.
Yeah.
You're going with Hardcore Holly. We're testing you out. He's going to slap the taste out of your mouth. Just do what we say when we do it. So you had to think, like, literally in a matter of like centimeters of like, how can I possibly stand out?
Yeah.
Almost imperceptibly. But that's the reason behind that.
That's, when you said centimeters there, that's like when all these like Olympic teams, those like fine margins where they just cut down this by 1% and this by 1% and this by 1%. It can all make the difference,
Yes.
can't it, in the end, yeah. That's really interesting. I feel like I must have known that because I have actually read that book, but I've forgotten about that. And I always think about you say about the trunks as well. There was a lot of leg on display when Cody was wrestling. It looked like his trunks were even like shorter and up. Yeah. And it was obviously just that he was raising them up over his midriff a little bit. That WrestleMania.
He's got the hog for it.
It's that WrestleMania 26 looking at.
Yeah.
With the orange.
Oh my gosh, I want them to be his WrestleMania XL long boys.
That's your broken dreams, isn't it?
My God, that colour on the WrestleMania 26 trunks. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
The $1 million.
Bright white boots. And it's like, there's Randy Orton here established.
Look great.
Me.
Great for him, man.
Dead DB friggin' assy. Like, how's he getting the push?
Yeah.
Main event time.
Oh, I liked it a lot.
It's the family defending the tag team titles against Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin. Early on, Breakker just powers Tony D back into the corner. They're like trying to trade forearms and shoulder blocks. Eventually, Stacks gets in, but he gets dragged into the wrong corner, into the deep water by the Wolf Dogs. Corbin keeps cutting off like Stacks attempts to do like all of his springboard moves and various things like that. Tony D tags back in, hits a suplex. Bron Breakker gets back in to help Corbin, fights back on Tony D, but Tony D drills him with a sit-out powerbomb, and it appears like the family are actually in charge of this. We come back from an ad break, and Baron Corbin's taken over, so obviously, that's what magic adverts do.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin gets a deep 6 on Stacks, but only gets 2. Stacks drills him with an elbow to tag Tony D'Angelo, who spine busters Bron Breakker out of the air. Then he does the little Stacks is for the family and lobs him onto both guys, which again, I think one of these days could be used in a different way.
Yes.
Setting up quite nicely. You get the powerbomb neckbreaker combo on Bron Breakker, and then it's back to Baron Corbin, who hits like a suplex cutter. Stacks is follows through with a sunset flip, only gets 2, but manages to tag back in Tony D, who gets Bossman slammed. It all breaks down. They're fighting on the floor. Bron Breakker gets double powerbombed through the table by the family. He appears to be out and down and done. So Tony just rolls him back in to get what we assume is the 3 count because he's out. But Baron Corbin makes the save somehow to an enormous pop. Eventually, it all breaks down a little bit again. Stacks takes a run at Corbin, who catches him with the end of days. He rolls out with Tony D, and then Bron Breakker is back up again, drills Stacks with the spear. 1, 2, 3. The Wolf Dogs are the new tag team champions. I'm going to leave a moment that you specifically isolated for praise. As they celebrate at the end, there's like a wide shot, and you see Baron Corbin lean over and go, "Wolf Dogs, yeah!" And like Bron Breakker's buzzing for him, and then it goes off the air with a barcode of the 2 of them holding up their belts, looking earnestly right in very different ways. That they mean this.
Yeah.
I know that it's belts and it's not real, but in different ways, this has been huge for both of them.
Yeah.
You totally bought it.
I absolutely loved this. I absolutely loved it. I thought the match was like a hyperactive version of a family match, but it was really carried by just that awesome, just utterly captivating meathead energy of Corbin and Breakker.
Yeah.
Like, felt, dare I say it, like quite wild at points, like a table bump.
Best family match ever.
Best family match ever. It felt genuinely quite wild and chaotic. Had that raw sort of like quality to it. Like just on the cusp of going awry. I just felt like as much of a fight as a tag team professional wrestling match could. Just the way that I love it when these meathead tag teams throw their opponents into their partners and then do slams on them.
Yeah.
It's like, combo attacks and...
I know it was a table, like, which is obviously always a cheat code.
That thing got obliterated.
Like, I couldn't believe they'd arrived at such a cool near fall.
Yeah, I know.
He was dead. He was absolutely finished.
He was absolutely
this is
dead.
over.
Like, great save on that one. Like, really quite dramatic. Like, I'm into the act. The Wolf Dogs are genuinely tremendous, so I really wanted them to win, and they did. And there's a bit at the end, right? I never thought in the Never Say Never business I would care this much about Baron Corbin, but goddamn it, I do. Where he sprints over to Braun and just embraces him.
Yeah.
And there's a reality there.
Totally.
There's a genuine, real sentiment there, and that's what the best wrestling is. A little bit of that goes a long way if you can fold it into the fiction. And then there's a bit where Breaker's like, right, go on, get up, because you have to raise your hands, where Corbin was genuinely staring at that title. He has had so many years of people thinking it's boring. That's okay. I've got the office behind me. No, I don't. Stop, start, push. Like, he's heard, or rather not heard, so many bad reactions or just nothing reactions. And maybe, you know, he's a guy who's had experience his whole life. I think he's well liked, but it's never really transmitted. And he's thought to himself in periods of introspection, God, am I doing this right? No one's really reacting to anything I do. And now this has clicked so goddamn well. And maybe when he's looking at that title, he's thinking, vindication, I always had something.
Yeah.
And goddamn it, he obviously has, because they've tapped into it right now. He is awesome. Baron Corbin, unironically, rules.
Do you want to wrap this up with a game?
Yes.
End on a game.
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha 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 ha!
Vic Joseph repeatedly said that Baron Corbin had only ever won one title in his entire WWE career, which is why it's important that he won this tag team title. But Michael Sidgwick, what title was it?
United States.
Who did he beat for it?
Dolph.
No, but you're very close.
Kofi.
No, you're still close.
Miz.
No.
No,
I'll tell you who he beat, because then we can get to who he lost it to. He defeated AJ Styles for the United States title. Who did he lose it to?
Was it in a triple threat?
It was... I think it was. Give you a clue. He's been named in this game.
Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler, and it was the
Always Dolph.
It was the pay-per-view on the Sunday where Dolph beats Baron for the belt, and then on SmackDown he comes out and leaves it in the ring and retires forever. Like, that was the end of... and then Dolph's like, too big for this guy, James. It comes back in the Royal Rumble 3 weeks later and gets eliminated after 2 minutes. Thanks, Dolph. Like, that was Baron Corbin's United States title reign. So this is especially nice, isn't it? Especially nice. God, that was trash,
That was awful.
What an awful time. We were covering this.
No.
In that era, week after week after week after week after week. And I didn't think it could get any better, and it did. And if you agree, and all of this is still super goated to you, you can reach out to us on...
Super goated.
Super double goated. I'll tell you what's a super double goated. My friend Michael Sidgwick. Where can they find you on Twitter, Sidge?
At M. Sidgwick.
You can find me at Michael Hamflett. You can find all of us at What Culture WWE. If you check your podcast feeds now, you'll find the AW Dynamite preview. We'll be back tomorrow with a review of that show. We'll be back later this week with a SmackDown preview. Thank you for spending your time with us as always. And until next time, we will see you soon.